Hi, and welcome to another MedGeek TV Health Hero Spotlight. I'm Deborahlise, and so today I am super excited to be interviewing a soul sister. Her name is Jenny Pandol, and she and I have had these very similar paths, but didn't actually meet until recently. So she also studied sustainable ag or agroecology at UC Santa Cruz and is an ecologist and also a gut expert. So she really understands microbiome medicine. And so she and I met while studying microbiome medicine together. So she's also a fermentationist and a health coach. She's very smart, she's super sweet, and I love how she blends ecology, the external ecology of the environment, with the internal ecology of our gut. And so she is referred to as a good gut gardener for a reason. So enjoy this interview.
Next level. Next level.
Yay, Jenny, I'm so excited you're here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. So I have to tell you, you are a woman of my own heart because I knew there were other people out there that studied exactly what I studied, where I studied sustainable ag and ecology, and then went into medicine, which is exactly what you did, right? And so
That's been my path.
so you and I are both graduates of UC Santa Cruz and ecologists and sustainable ag geeks, right? And now we've really moved into the microbiome, which is super cool. And so can you tell me a little bit about how you discovered the microbiome and how it's changed your life?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you. So, okay, when I discovered the microbiome, it was about 6 years ago. I was having a really hard time with my health. And so it was pretty quickly, like it was almost like suddenly my health just like took a total dive. And I had like all the common symptoms of like SIBO and whatnot, where I was very distended after everything I ate, and just having skin problems, and my hormones were a mess, and I couldn't sleep. My hair was falling out. All these things were happening, and it seemed like they happened like really quickly. So I sought out help because I did not know what was going on. I didn't know anyone else who was going through those kinds of things. And so the doctor that I sought out was an integrative medical doctor in Los Angeles. And he educated me a ton. So we did all this testing that no other doctor had ever done, like stool testing, hormone testing, all this stuff. And I discovered that I had really pretty significant dysbiosis. And so that, I didn't really quite understand it initially, like what that meant. But over time and healing, it really started to make sense to me. And about that time too, my father is a gastroenterologist.
Oh.
And about that time, he introduced me to a scientist named Sidney Feingold. And he blew my mind because he had been researching. He's a microbiologist, so he had this humongous library of microbes, a lot of them that he discovered. So we went to his lab one day and was listening in on one of their meetings and started learning about all these things he had done. Since the 1950s, he had been working on understanding autism and really honing in on the microbes that are related to autism. And so that was totally mind-blowing for me. And he had been treating people even like for decades and having some really interesting findings. So that really piqued my interest because I'm like, okay, I'm going through this health thing that has to do with, my gut being really out of balance. Started learning about, what he was doing, then started being introduced to other researchers in the LA area who are doing microbiome research. Went to a microbiome summit, and then I was totally hooked because I was listening to the research of these researchers who were doing like totally groundbreaking work, right? Having these awesome discoveries, and it all started clicking for me after that. So that's kind of how my microbiome interest started.
That's awesome. That is so great. And so you studied ecology and then you went into health as a nurse. So you do palliative care, is that correct?
Yeah, so my nursing career has been since 2004, so 15 years now. So yes, I studied agroecology and sustainable agriculture at UCSC, and I really wanted to. I had this vision that I was, gonna make some real impact in the agricultural world. I come from an agricultural family. My family are farmers, and I just had this idea that, I was gonna make this impact and bring us back to like the small family farms and these systems that were really sustainable and, good for the earth and for us. And anyways, my path definitely obviously changed. I did work in that industry for a while. I even went to work at my family's farm for a little bit. There was a point at which I was having trouble making income, and so I started working with autistic young adults, and I started doing, managing their health, their medical needs. And anyways, that kind of got me like the feelers out and like, wait, like this is something I like to do. I like helping people. I like, helping them. Anyways, that's an interesting, relationship, having worked with autistic young adults, and then this click, this click I had with the microbiome. But anyways, that was many years ago, obviously. And so that got me to thinking that I wanted to go to nursing school. I mean, there's more to it, but that was kind of one of the impetuses of getting into nursing.
And
I worked in the hospital for about 5 years, doing all kinds of different units, and then I got into home health and then palliative care, which I've been doing most of my nursing career.
and then and you became a health coach from there, right?
Yeah,
And that mostly when you were taking care of your own health, is that when that shift happened?
that is exactly when that happened. So yeah, so once I started taking care of my own health, I started looking at my patients completely differently. I could no longer see just, doing this routine stuff that we were doing and feeling, I was just not feeling good about it. So I started integrating all these things that I was learning with my patients in terms of nutrition. But I can only do so much in that arena, right? So then I decided, okay, I'm going to go to school and learn more about, how to do this. So do this on my own and do it the way I want to.
That is so awesome. And what I love about talking with you is that there is such a connection between our soil, right? The earth soil and the microbes in our gut, right? It's like this inner ecology and outer ecology. And you understanding that, just the whole ecology premise, really
Yeah.
does help in terms of understanding the gut, right? And this universe of microbes that's in our gut. And so, I see you as the gut gardener, which I know that's what you are, right? You're the gut gardener. And with that too, you use a lot of food, especially fermented foods, and you've been doing this for a long time. When did you start doing that and then educating people on how to ferment their own food?
Yeah, so that started for me in, I think it was 2015. So one of the things that was going on with me in my gut was I had like zero lactobacillus species. And so ferments are a really good source of that. So yes, diet was huge. That really had an impact. Moving foods out of my diet that I was not tolerant to was huge. Then adding ferments, that was a whole nother level. I decided that, so I was a winemaker, also out of college. And so I was already familiar with fermenting. I had my own label and everything. That was, so fermenting already was really just familiar to me. But then when I discovered the health benefits and like how that could impact what was going on with me, that's when I really got into it. And I did the certification program with Summer Bach. And that was in 2015. So that was awesome. I learned like a good dozen awesome ferments from around the world. That was cool. It helped my health. And so that's when I realized how impactful that was for me. That's when I was like, oh, I'm going to start teaching this. And so I started doing workshops locally. And yeah, those are fun.
I love it. And I see that you have a course online. I love I didn't know you were a winemaker. My husband is also a winemaker, and for 10 years we had a vineyard and fermented and all of that.
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
And all throughout cultures, right, there's fermented foods, right?
Yep.
So, and that is such an important part of health. And I'm excited to see, I heard that you were maybe going to do some traveling and some research about fermented foods. Is that true?
So one of the places I really want to go, I've been a few times. My aunt lives in Japan, and so next time I go visit her, that is something that, yes, I want to really, I love that culture, and I just want to learn from the culture itself. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So I think I might have mentioned that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a little personal story for me is that I really found the benefit of fermented foods when I was postpartum. And with my second, I had postpartum depression, and I was doing everything. I was doing herbs and acupuncture and therapy. And I had done a trade with a woman who I gave her herbs and essential oils, and she brought me this giant, I think there are half gallons of fermented root vegetables from a biodynamic farm on the
Cool.
Midwest, and it completely transformed me. Like, so that whole gut brain connection, I was like happy again. I mean, that's the power of fermented foods. And so I just wanted to share that because this is not benign stuff. This is like
Yeah.
powerful
And
stuff.
what's even, so this is how I see, just like you experience that like lift and that happiness, just the act of making fermented foods, I swear the microbes make people happy just making it. So when my workshops start, people are like maybe coming out of, coming home from work or whatever, and they arrive, and so they're just like, all right, by the end, they are super excited, they're chatty, they're laughing, it's like infectious, the microbes.
It's amazing. It's so amazing. And, we met in the microbiome medicine training,
Yeah.
and I know that there's going to be a conference here in September, and I know you're going to be a speaker. And so do you want to share a little bit about what you're going to chat about, or do you know what you're going to chat about yet?
So I am I know a little bit. I'm actually gonna start working on it this weekend. I'm gonna chat a little bit about just bridging the world of like soil and ecology and human health and gut health, and talk about fermented foods because that's a bridge. And yeah, that's mostly what I'm going to talk about. And so I'm going to work on it. So that's kind of all I can tell you for now. I'm going to work on it this weekend and hash out what I'm really going to say about that. But
And
that's
cool.
just,
And so tell me a little bit about some of your future endeavors and things that you have on the horizon in terms of programs or workshops, things like that.
yeah. Well, I primarily work with people one-on-one in my intensive programs, and I love that. Like I've been a nurse for a long time, and that one-on-one connection, I really love it. Like I've been doing it for a long time. And so yes, I do that with people usually in 4-month programs. I am creating a program right now, an online program, which is going to be a little bit of nutrition, a little bit of fermentation, and a little bit of labs. That course, I filmed the fermentation part in my kitchen. I'm super excited to put that out because it's like a step-by-step how to. Just finished filming that not that long ago. So so those are the big components of it. Oh, and the de-stress component. De-stress, your mind and your body, like, house, clean out the house and home aspect too, to kind of eliminate toxins. So all those are components of my course. So yeah, that's coming out soon.
Cool. And how can people find you? Can you mention like Instagram, like any social media? Of course, your website, right?
Yeah, so my website is jennypandol.com. And then emails is a great way to contact me, info@jennypandol.com. And then I have my Facebook, Jenny Pandol, the Good Gut Gardener. My Instagram, Jenny, the Good Gut Gardener. And also my group. I have an online group called the Microbiome Learning Center. So we have a group where it's, more like discussion type of group where, people join, and then I have the business page for that as well. So those are, that's a project in itself.
Yeah, I meant to mention that. Yeah, the Microbiome Learning Center is epic. That was a huge undertaking, and so many people on Facebook have been part of that group, and I just feel like there's endless opportunities there to really get the message out on the microbiome. So kudos to you for doing
Oh,
that.
thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's been a fun project. So that was inspired actually after the microbiome summit that I went to and meeting people who like to nerd out, specifically my friend Joshua. And so that's why how that got created was just like, we need a place for all of us who like this stuff to hang out.
I
So,
love it.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, microbiome medicine is it's the cutting edge medicine. It is exactly, what we have been going towards all this time. I mean, ancestral medicine had this premise already with what we called chi or agni or prana, and now we see it, right? This invisible life force, this inner ecology. And so I just feel like understanding this and taking care of our inner ecology and the outer ecology is really where medicine and life is going, right? The only way we can survive.
It
right?
is. It literally is. And so to bridge the work that, my experience with agroecology, now we're transitioning into a world where we're talking more about regenerative agriculture. And a lot of that is absolutely based on the microbiome of the soil. And so yes, that's so crucial. It's so crucial for the health of our planet as well as human health. And so speaking to what I want to speak to in my talk, I want to bridge, that concept.
Yes, and with my work and your work, I mean, part of this whole platform is I want to interview these amazing farmers. Like they are the future, those organic, biodynamic, sustainable ag farmers. I actually had this great experience with this one farmer that I brought in for a conference that I put together. And he was one of those super soil geeks. And he went into the garden and he touched the soil and put it on his tongue. And he could tell me what was in it, like what minerals were in it, how good it was. I was like, wow,
That's an amazing palette. That's amazing.
yeah, it was so cool. And so, Jenny, this has been awesome. And so, whenever I close an interview for my health heroes, I ask them 3 questions. And so, I'd like to ask you those. And one is, if you could have a superpower, what would it be and why?
Okay. Well, so I would like to be able to teleport myself. Um, I would love that. I just feel like there's so many connections to be made, and I just want to zoom all over the place and make them as quick as possible. So yes.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're in this information overload time, and I think our bodies need to move as fast as the information is coming in. Yeah, that's so great. And so the second question is, if you could transform anything in global health, whether it's human or planetary, what would it be?
Um, I would just love if there was more understanding about just what we're talking about, this relationship to the soil and the earth and the health of the soil and human health, because we have to fix both of those really quickly. And I think that there's so much information that we already know when it comes to the earth ecology, and we're learning a lot about the human ecology and how crucial it is. And so I just want people to see those relationships, because I feel like that's really key to addressing both those issues that are like super critical right now.
Yes, awesome. Okay, now the last question is, if you could gift the listener with one bit of advice, a little health tip, some gem, what would you gift them?
So I would say that um, get in tune with your own natural rhythm, body rhythms. Get in tune with the rhythms of nature, just by taking a walk or whatever it is. And that you'll find all the answers that you need.
I love it. Thank you, Jenny. This has been so wonderful chatting with you. I'm
Me too.
super excited to see where 2020 takes you. I always joke that 2020 is going to be the year of great clear vision, 2020 vision. And, the whole idea is that we can actually bridge, right? We can bridge ancestral medicine and modern medicine, ecology of the external ecology and the inner ecology. And I feel like you are a thought leader in this. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Deborahlise, oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to talk with you always.
Wonderful. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.